When solving radical equations, we have to determine any restrictions on x, basically because we can't have any negative roots. Let's start with a, for example. We have x minus 2, all underneath the radical sign, is equal to 1. Don't worry about solving the equation. We don't need that equals to 1 part. All we need to do is we need to solve this so that we do not have a negative answer. 0 is okay, but no negatives. Just pull out what's underneath the radical sign, and it's going to be greater than or equal to 0. From there, all you need to do is rearrange and solve for x. So we're going to add 2 to both sides. So x has to be greater than or equal to 2, or else we're going to get a negative number. So if we say that x has to be greater than or equal to 2, let's check that out. I'm going to plug in 2 to the original equation. 2 minus 2, that's going to equal to the square root of 0. That's perfectly okay. If we had, say, 3 minus 2, you have the square root of 1. That's perfectly fine too. However, if you have, say, 1 minus 2, you're going to end up with a negative 1. And that's not okay because you can't have that. This is why we have to figure out the restrictions. Let's work with b. So b, we have 4x plus 1 all underneath the root sign. Don't worry about that 8. We're just going to solve this because we do not want this resulting in a negative root. So pull the 4x plus 1 out. And we're going to set it so that it's greater than or equal to 0. We don't want any negative roots. Alright, so all we're going to do is we're going to rearrange and solve for x. So you subtract the 1, and you subtract the 1 over here. So what you're left with is 4x is greater than or equal to negative 1. From there, divide this by 4 and divide this by 4. X has to be greater than or equal to negative 1 over 4. For c, again, all we're dealing with is the stuff underneath the radical sign. So it's 2 minus 5x. So determining the restrictions on this one, pull this one out. So it's going to be 2 minus 5x is greater than or equal to 0. I'm going to isolate the term containing the x, so I'm going to subtract 2 and subtract 2 over here. So you got negative 5x is greater than or equal to negative 2. Then we divide by negative 5 and divide by negative 5. The thing to note, of course, when you're dividing by a negative number, this is going to flip over, so you end up with lesser than or equal to. So you have a negative 2 divided by negative 5, those cancel out, and so what you're left with is x better be less than or equal to 2/5. For d, we have the cubed root of x minus 1. Now, one thing to keep in mind is this is a cubed root, and when we have cube roots, negative numbers underneath the radical sign are perfectly okay. So for example, I give you negative 27, you would get an answer of negative 3. So in this case, there are no restrictions. Keep in mind too, when you're writing out the restrictions for a radical expression or radical equations, x is definitely greater than or equal to 2, but it's also belonging to the real numbers. So make sure you bring that in as well. For each one of these, x belongs to the real numbers.